So this is my review of SHF Jiraiya Exclusive Edition. He's on P-Bandai right now for around 90 bucks. And if you're in the US, you could still get him today. I checked earlier this morning. And if you do want him, hurry up, just because it could sell out at any minute. And that's just how P-Bandai works. So this is a re-release. The original figure was released, I think, about like 5 years ago or more. And it's essentially a recolor, and it comes with one extra faceplate, just so you know what you're getting. That's why they call it exclusive. And let's get right into the review. So in terms of his height, let's see how tall he is. And just measuring from the top of his head. Just a touch over 6 inches. So looks like 6 1/4 about. And in terms of his weight, and the nice thing about these older Naruto figures is they do have good weight on them. Feels like they used higher quality plastic in general, and yet he's heavy. So 4.2 ounces, so he's definitely got weight on him. And in terms of aesthetics, so the obvious part out of the way first, he is a recolor. They gave him a more saturated kind of color scheme with the exclusive release here. So if you compare him to the older figure, a lot more vibrant. So his jacket, the shading, everything, very vibrant coloration. So very kind of like a deep red that you can see here. Metallic gold on his buttons, things like that. And the biggest kind of difference from the previous release is definitely the face. And they really made the face anime accurate. And I'll show you the other faceplates when we look at the accessories, but yeah, overall he looks great. And they did a good job with the recolor. It looks much, much better than the old one. And I didn't get the old one, but I'm glad I got this one, just because he's such an important character in the show. And yeah, if you look at his, like, just, there are some blemishes here and there, which I don't like his slippers here. Mine had like this ugly paint chip, and that's not really good. So that looks pretty ugly. Especially at his price, 90 bucks, not good. So, but other than that, he looks great. So in terms of just aesthetics, aside from just kind of like the paint chip and things like that, I'd give him 4.5. So just for the paint chip, can't let that go. That does look ugly. 4.5, he still looks great overall. Okay, thinking about articulation, overall engineering, let's get right into it. And this is an older figure, so it's going to be somewhat limited. Head is on typical ball joint from SHF. Not the best. It's not really a double ball peg. It's like one of those kind of like ball swivels. So not the best head articulation. You could feel it kind of locking up for no reason there. And the hair does inhibit him somewhat too. And his hair, the ponytail, does get its own kind of articulation there too. So there's a swivel on that. There's a tiny ball peg in there. But be careful. Don't go crazy. It could break. This kind of scroll on his back does swivel up and down. Diaphragm is on a double ball peg. Excellent. You could do essentially like a 90-degree bend forward. And you could bend back more, but the jacket kind of stiff plastic. So that does limit it somewhat. Arms come out all the way, but that's the most you could get. They do full 360. You get a bicep swivel, double joint on the elbow, and wrist is on a ball peg with a swivel. And yeah, the arms do come out kind of easily there, so that is annoying. And seems to be Tamashi's weak point, the bicep swivels. It's either too tight, falls off, or they got to get a new system going, because that's annoying. Anyway, his legs, and this is probably the most disappointing part of his articulation. Can you see that, how weird those look? That's just, they look like little horseshoe crab legs, almost. And they suck. Like, just, there's no other way to put it. Like, the proportions are all wrong, too. You see how tiny his thighs are? And that's why it feels so awkward messing around with his legs. So, he has these tiny, weird little horseshoe crab-looking legs, and it's a pain in the ass, kind of like getting his legs to do what you want. And do you see how weird that looks? That's not a human leg. So he has huge calves and his thighs are tiny. Should have been the other way around. So thighs are longer than the calf. And aside from that, he does get a double joint in the knee. Not the best. You can't really do much with that, but it does work. And it's not like ugly. But the legs themselves, just disproportionate, and they look just weird. Ankles, they don't use the new ankle joints on the Naruto figures. Just kind of like the old-fashioned ball swivel. They still work, but they are more finicky. The newer Naruto figures, way better ankles. And yeah, so they do work. They get good movement. Get a very nice rocker in them. And you do get a toe joint also. And I like how they made the toe joint go with the slipper like an actual slipper. So that looks cool too. Now, I will say this. Some things that are annoying. The ball swivels, the bicep swivels, they come out easily sometimes. And getting them back in is kind of a pain. Ankles themselves are too tight. I oiled these, that's why they're a little bit better now. And that's especially annoying when you see how smooth the knee joints are. Very hard to get them to stand sometimes. And these little clogs they have, feels like a very cheap quality glossy plastic. And very hard to get him to stand stably, especially because of how bulky his hair is, that scroll on his back. Not the easiest figure to kind of pose. And the biggest issue I have with this figure is this little skirt here. This could easily rip, so do not force it. And this bricks off all his leg articulation, which could have been excellent otherwise. This flap should have had a cut in it, which would have let his legs come up, and even then his legs are just downright wonky. Those are hideous, and I guess that's the reason they're covering it up like that. But yeah, his legs are just trash, honestly. So in terms of articulation engineering, I'll give him a 3 out of 5. Even for an older figure, that's not really acceptable. Figuarts had plenty of older figures from around the same time that worked excellent, so not really an excuse. And especially at the price, I'm not going to go easy on this one. So 3 out of 5 is more than fair. That being said, his diaphragm, arms, head work well enough. Not the best, but yeah, 3 out of 5. In terms of accessories, let's get right into it. And I do have a bone to pick with the accessories too, because they call this an exclusive edition, and it doesn't really feel all that exclusive because you're not getting a whole lot compared to the original release. So they do mention you get kind of like the revamped kind of face plates, so we'll take a look at those first, one at a time. Okay, smirking face, looks great. And this is kind of like the new face, I think, that they mentioned. The gag face. This is the new faceplate that you're getting, I think. Someone correct me on that if I'm wrong, but one of these faceplates is new with the exclusive edition. You get kind of like the smirking, grinning face here with a little wink on it. And you get like the kind of like, I guess he's angry here. Like generic battle face, I guess. Teeth clenched. I think that gag face is the one that's new. But that's essentially what you're getting. Other than that, you get 2 popsicles, which came with the old one also. Let's get that back a little bit. You do get an arm folding accessory. I never really like using these. They're so hard to put on. Like every Figuarts. You do get a Rasengan effect. That looks really nice. Catches the light very well. So you get that. You do get an open hand. And it has a little plug-in for the gauntlet piece. I kind of wish they just sculpted that in. I don't know why they just... Seems a little bit pointless. Just easy to get lost. You do get a hand with a little kind of curse seal or whatever that was on it. If you watch the show, I think that's what he uses to seal Naruto's demon or fox, whatever it was called. Another open hand. Got 2 fist hands. You which is obviously a must. And you get a hand that plugs in the Rasengan, so that's good. And finally, you also get Tales of a Gutsy Ninja, that book from the show. And this is where I have another bone to pick. So this is an exclusive edition. And I thought this was like a VHS cassette or something. Does that look like a book to you? Because to me, it doesn't. So this is supposed to be a book. It doesn't look like one. Just a little too cheap to even give like a proper accessory that's supposed to be a book. The stupid camera to focus. That looks like a VHS cassette. So would it have killed them to paint some pages into the sides for an exclusive edition that's $90? Like, you're not getting much here. So if you missed the first release like I did, you do get Jiraiya, but the accessories aren't anything to write home about. So accessories get a 3 out of 5 because they didn't really give you anything extra aside from like one extra, like a whopping one extra faceplate. So 3 out of 5 for the accessories. No real improvements there, honestly. And the improved paint, that's expected, but should have been more. And the fact that the book itself, which is so important to the show, doesn't even look like a book. Yeah, so not very impressive. And finally, let's talk about accessories. My mistake, let's talk about value. Overall value for this figure only gets 2.5 because he's expensive. $90 for a figure like this is not worth it, in my opinion. And this is the problem with P-Bandai, because if you take a look at another re-release that was very popular, Bardock, he's going as a general release right now all over the place. Big Bed, you name it, Toy Dojo, whatever, Toy Arena, wherever you get your toys from. He's only going for like $55, $60. And he's a very popular character in DBZ, but he was a general release. And that's why he's still affordable. And he's coming out this October, I think. This one is $90, and he is not worth $90, given all the issues he still has. Not even close to it. And the original release of this figure was like $65. That's kind of what I think he should be right now, and at the most, maybe 80. But 90 is really just getting into like ridiculous territory. This guy's not worth 90. So he gets a 2.5, and that's only because he's such an important character. And I'm glad I have him, but not happy with the price at all. And this is why I hate P-Bandai. Just artificial exclusivity. And you could argue, yeah, oh, he's a re-release, they're not releasing as much. I really don't care about any of that. For me, value is price paid versus what you're getting. And it doesn't feel like you're getting a whole lot here. The recolor is good, but not $90 good. That premium for just a recolor isn't worth it, in my opinion. Okay, so for a final rating, he gets a score of 3.38. And what really brought him down here was the fact that he's way overpriced and the fact that the accessories are not really worth calling this an exclusive edition. And still a respectable score, but they're just kind of like price gouging at this point. So he's, in my opinion, he's not worth $90, not even close to it. And that's before you figure in taxes and shipping, which is another huge issue with P-Bandai. You're looking at over $100 if you name it. Just like any generic state tax, you kind of tack onto this guy. If you're unfortunate enough to have state tax, which is most of the country, you're going to be paying probably over $100. Is that worth it? For me, no. And I got him only because it's Jiraiya, and I missed him on the first release, so I had to get him. But yeah, if you do want him, he's still up. And you could definitely get him for $90 right now, but hurry up because you could sell at any moment. And let's just take a look at scaling to wrap this video up. So here he is with another old figure, Madara. Here he is with Kakashi. And here he is with, obviously, Naruto. So looks great with him. And for the thumbnail, if you're interested, yeah, here he is with the snail shell Milk Tea Girl. And from the thumbnail also, here he is with, I always forget her name. I think Hasaki or something. Pocket Arts. Hagi or Hasaki, I forgot her name. But yeah, with her. And just one more I have out here. Just the Tamashii New York exclusive Kid Goku. So yeah, that's my review. Decent figure, way overpriced. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, just leave them below. I'll get back to you. And yeah, thanks for watching. And definitely subscribe if you want more critical reviews. And oh, and just for fun, I still have Raditz out here, who I'm going to review next. And I'll say right away, this figure is amazing. And that's probably going to be my next review. Anyway, so yeah, take care.